By the time Lena's footage surfaced, it was already too late. Basements across the town were infested, not just with mold, but with memories. People started hearing breathing in their walls, and soon after, they weren't alone in their homes anymore. In the final stretch of our investigation, something unexpected surfaced, a hidden recording, found deep within Lena Carver's cloud storage, a digital footprint left behind by the young architect who vanished beneath the church's shadows. The file was titled simply, "Final Message." We listen closely as the audio begins, faint at first, the sound of Lena's breath echoing softly in the confined space. Her voice is barely a whisper, tense, urgent, haunted. "I'm underground," she says, the words trembling but clear. "It's not buried. It's waiting. Not like we imagined. It's awake in the silence, alive in the spaces we don't see." The recording captures her footsteps moving cautiously through stone corridors, the faint scraping of debris underfoot. "When we pray," she continues, "it listens. It feels the hope, the fear. It knows when we stop. And when we stop, it wakes." The weight of her warning hangs in the cold air. The final moments of the recording grow more strained. Her voice cracks. "Please, please don't let them build another church. Don't let them open it again, because it's waiting. And when we forget, it feeds." There is a long pause, a faint shuffling noise, then silence. No further sounds, no final words, only the heavy stillness of an ending. Lena's message is not just a warning. It is a plea, echoing across time and space, across fear and hope. The church, the crypt, the breathing entity beneath the soil, all tied together in a cycle that has haunted this town for centuries. To rebuild, to disturb the ground once more, would be to invite something beyond comprehension back into the world. The story closes with more questions than answers. What exactly waits beneath the earth? What memories does it hold? And how many have been swallowed whole by its hunger, forgotten by all but the darkest corners of history? Here at MindFuel, we are committed to uncovering the truths buried in shadow, to bringing you stories that demand to be told. If you have followed us this far, if this story unsettles and intrigues you, subscribe now and join us for what comes next. Because beneath the surface of our world, some secrets refuse to rest, and the breath beneath the church still stirs. Following Lena's disappearance, the quiet town around the old church began to change in ways no one had anticipated. Subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. Reports started filtering in from residents, strange visions that flickered just beyond the edge of perception, voices echoing in empty rooms, shadows that seemed to linger too long. But perhaps the most disturbing were the outbreaks of black mold. It wasn't like any mold local health officials had seen before. Thick, spreading rapidly across old wood and stone, its patterns were bizarre, twisting tendrils that almost seemed to pulse beneath the surface. Scientists from nearby universities were called in to study the phenomenon. They uncovered something astonishing about the bedrock beneath the town, the very ground that supported the old church. Geologists described it as unnaturally porous, its structure resembling lung tissue, a vast organic labyrinth of tiny cavities and channels. Breathable stone. It was as if the earth itself inhaled and exhaled beneath their feet, a hidden network alive in ways science could not explain. Concurrently, audio engineers examining Lena's recordings discovered another unsettling detail. In moments when she was completely silent, when the room should have been still, a faint, rhythmic breathing could be heard, almost imperceptible, but undeniably present. A low, consistent inhale and exhale buried beneath layers of static and silence. Listening to these tapes became an unnerving experience. Many felt as though the breath was not just recorded sound, but something else, a presence, an echo of the thing beneath the church, reaching out through the fabric of the recordings. The town's atmosphere grew heavier, the line between the natural and unnatural blurring. Local hospitals reported spikes in patients suffering from hallucinations, vivid, terrifying dreams of faceless beings, twisting roots, and endless darkness. Some spoke of hearing voices in languages no one could understand, words that stirred deep fear. One family living near the church described waking to find their walls slick with that same black mold, the tendrils curling like grasping fingers. They found strange symbols, reminiscent of the geometric markings Lena had uncovered on the church's pews, etched faintly beneath the mold's surface. It was as though the mold itself was a message, a warning, or perhaps a sign of the entity's slow, creeping influence spreading beyond the crypt. This black mold phenomenon became a symbol of something far greater, the awakening of the ground beneath the town, the expansion of the presence long thought dormant, a sickness seeping into wood, stone, and mind alike. As this unsettling chapter unfolds, the mystery deepens. What began beneath the church has begun to permeate the world above it, and those who live here feel the weight of it in every breath they take. If you want to uncover how this phenomenon ties into the ancient warnings, the disappearances, and the whispered prayers of generations past, subscribe to MindFuel. We will take you deeper into the story, because sometimes the darkness beneath the ground reaches far beyond what we dare to imagine. The year was 2025. The town had endured months of unease, of whispers caught on the wind, strange illnesses, and a growing dread that something unseen was watching, waiting. Then, one stormy night, the unthinkable happened. Lightning struck the old church. Flames erupted almost instantly, devouring centuries of timber and history with a ferocity that seemed out of place, unnatural. Firefighters who rushed to the scene recalled something they had never encountered before. The smoke, thick and black, didn't behave like smoke normally does. They said it moved against the wind, curling and twisting as though guided by a will of its own. One veteran firefighter described the smoke as almost alive, like it was resisting, fighting to stay. The blaze burned through the night, reducing the church to ash and rubble. Yet, despite the destruction, one part of the building remained untouched, the crypt beneath the floor. Buried under layers of stone and earth, the crypt defied the fire's reach, untouched and intact. It was sealed, as it had been for centuries, but now it radiated an eerie warmth, not from the fire, but from something else. The heat was steady, almost breathing in its rhythm, a faint pulse beneath the stone, as if the crypt itself were alive. The collapse of the church, an icon of the town's history and faith, sent ripples through the community. Some saw it as a divine punishment. Others feared it was a warning, a reminder that certain things should never be disturbed. The sealed crypt became a place of hushed speculation, guarded by townsfolk who knew better than to pry further. Whatever lay beneath had survived the flames, and its heartbeat was still felt deep in the earth. In the days following the fire, strange phenomena increased. Dogs refused to approach the ruins. Children spoke of hearing whispers in the wind, voices calling them towards the smoldering remains. At night, a low hum could be heard, almost like breathing, rising from the rubble. Authorities declared the site unsafe and forbade any attempts to excavate. But the warnings, the signs, the eerie heat beneath the crypt told a different story. The presence was far from dormant. The entity beneath the church was stirring, alive in the ashes, in the smoke that defied the wind. If you want to understand how the fire marked a turning point in this chilling saga, and what consequences followed for the town and those who dared to investigate, stay with us. Subscribe to MindFuel, where we peel back the layers of forgotten histories and unravel the mysteries lurking beneath. Because the ashes tell stories too, and some are impossible to forget. In the weeks and months following the fire, the town seemed to slip further from the realm of the ordinary. An unsettling chorus began to rise from beneath the ground, a symphony of sounds that defied explanation. Locals reported hearing church bells, but there were no bells left above ground, nothing to ring. Instead, these chimes echoed from somewhere deep below the surface, faint yet unmistakable, carried by the earth itself. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about waking in the dead of night to the ringing, their windows rattling in time. It was a sound both haunting and mournful, as if the church's soul itself was calling out from its underground prison. And then came the newcomers. A family had moved into a home just a stone's throw from the charred remains of the old church. At first, they were like any other new residents, bringing hope and life to a community shadowed by uncertainty. But soon, strange stories began to surface about their youngest child, a 6-year-old boy named Samuel. Samuel's parents were baffled, disturbed even, when he began speaking in fluent Latin. Not just isolated phrases, but entire conversations, prayers even, in a language none of them had taught him. Neighbors whispered of hearing his voice through open windows, a child reciting ancient hymns with uncanny clarity. Some found comfort in the sacred tones, others felt a chill in their bones. The family tried to dismiss it as a phase or the imagination of a child with a rich inner world, but the boy's behavior became stranger still. He spoke of voices beneath the earth, voices that taught him secrets, told him stories no one else knew. He said they told him to listen, to watch, to wait. These incidents stirred the town into a cautious unease, reigniting old fears and forgotten legends. The whispers from beneath, the echoes of bells, the child's eerie proclamations, they all pointed back to one undeniable truth. They buried something beneath that church. But whatever it was, it never stopped breathing. The ground beneath this quiet town carries memories that refuse to fade. It breathes, it listens, and it waits. If you have followed this story, if the shadows beneath Connecticut's old church have drawn you in, there is more to come. Subscribe to MindFuel. Join us as we unravel the final layers of this chilling mystery, the untold aftermath, and the unanswered questions that still linger. Because sometimes, the darkest stories are the ones still alive. Beneath our feet. If this story, this journey beneath the old church, through whispered secrets, vanished souls, and something ancient that still breathes beneath the earth, has sent a shiver down your spine, then prepare yourself. Because what we have uncovered here in Connecticut is only the beginning. Beyond these haunted ruins, beyond the echoes of forgotten hymns and cryptic symbols, there are other places where the past clings tight, where the land itself seems to guard its dark truths. The White Mountains of New Hampshire, remote, wild, and steeped in legends that have haunted generations. There, shadows move in the mist, voices rise where no living soul should be, and stories told around campfires hide secrets that could unravel everything you thought you knew about this world. If you felt the weight of this story, if the breath beneath the stones unsettled you, then you owe it to yourself to come back and join us again. Subscribe to MindFuel. Because here we don't just tell stories, we bring the forgotten, the unexplained, and the impossible into the light. Fuel your nightmares, one upload at a time. The darkness is waiting, and so are we.